subscribe to video go?
That's so hot.
Please subscribe to video go.
That's so hot.
You can find it in the on the stream in the panels. Alrighty, guys. We already live. There's a little bit of a delay with our second guy, Wolfsdragoon. He's still coming, like he's burning home from work, and he has to join the Discord and stuff. But yeah, welcome everyone, and thanks for coming on a second time, StarFleetCommander. But also not aware, main FC of Volta. Also, like, you're probably also the FC for the AT team, which is coming up, or like AT, what is it called? Alliance.
I'd say I'm not actually. I'd say that someone else, like Annie Garden, is like taking control of that. It's actually the AO. That's what it is. It's the Alliance Open, because they weren't allowed to use the name apparently. No, yeah, I captain the team, but he's basically running it this year because we're really busy on TQ. So.
Oh, so wait a second. Wolfsdragoon is running the AO.
No, so no. Annie is, he's not here. He's not on the stream. They're still training right now. I just bailed training to come here. But so he's the one that's kind of taking a lead on the practicing side. But Wolfsdragoon, who will be here soon, he's like another FC who's actually really new to my alliance and our group. And he joined like, I don't know, 5 months ago with his corp. So and they came from Try, yeah.
You guys had a little bit of an up and down kind of thing going on in the last, I would say, year, right?
Yeah, it's been a bit challenging for us. Just in general, because our like gameplay completely changed, and Thera was great, but then it kind of wasn't great because of a lot of various changes to the meta and to like null sec and everything. So we were kind of stuck in a place where it was really difficult for us to get kills in nullsec. Like there was no rule calls, there's hardly any rule calls, and if there were just under massive umbrellas. It's kind of like what you do with your kikis is you go out and you whale,
I
yeah,
know the feel, bro.
yeah, but you don't like. We do like to do that in Thera, but we actually wanted to get fights.
Yeah.
To try
I
and
like fights too. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying no to fights. I fight mutants in kikis, hello? Come on.
Yeah,
Anyone who says I don't fight, I'm just like out to hunt, that's ridiculous. You
Yeah,
fight
yeah, but
mutants in kikis.
we don't have 100 people though, in kikis. We're not massive, and I think actually one of the main reasons. So we were in Thera, and then we moved out, and we went to Hakonin, and we like did a whole deployment in Hakonin, and then we had like Origin, and we had Israd, and we had RTSQ, and then the alliance was actually really big, and it just really didn't work out. I'll be honest, it just wasn't like the when you have a lot of corps that are very like established corps, they all want to do their own thing and do their own. It's a lot of different like people that are trying to like take control, and we're going to do this doctrine and we're going to do this. It's like, well, we're not doing that. You know how it is, and it really didn't work out. It just kind of like it wasn't really like the deployment that killed it. It was just more like just everyone wanted to do something different, which just wasn't working. So ever since then, that all fell apart, to be honest, and they all left. And Origin, Origin isn't Origin without Elo, and Elo wasn't in the corp. He was in Goons. He was with you guys, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to have Origin with us, and then like the CEO not there, and then someone else is trying to run it, but it doesn't really work. And then
it's like when you say that, it reminds me of Trigger Happy and Kenda, right?
Basically,
it's
yeah,
pretty similar. Oh, there he is.
Wolfs is here.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. Glad you made it.
Yeah, he made it. He ran over a bunch of people.
I think running.
We've just been talking about the past year. Like it was a little bit of a struggle for Volta, but like you just recently joined, I guess, right?
Yeah, my corp has been part of Volta for almost 8 months now, I think.
8 months. Okay, I got that really wrong.
Yeah, well, we joined at like basically for like a month, and then we left there.
Excellent.
But did you guys?
Sorry.
But did you guys join thinking, okay, we live in Thera, this is going to be awesome? Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, we were between either doing a C2 and rolling it ourselves, and we tried that out, and it was going decent, but we were getting, we had fewer people than Volta, obviously, but and then we tried Dare out, and we were like, well, these guys form huge. Like, we can actually get fights like this. And so we did that, and Volta was good, and we thought we were going to get some really good Dare times, but then several changes happened right in a row, right after we joined, so kind of limited the content after that.
I want to actually go over that, because I think that like one of the main things I want to say on this show is like how a lot of the changes that have happened over the past year is like alienating all like mid-sized groups. Like like we're not Volta isn't like we're not 2,000 member alliance. We're not even 1,000 members. My corp is 280 members, and then ISSW is 100 members. And it's just like everything is becoming like you're either tiny or you're massive. I don't know if you agree, Pando, but like maybe not. But like
I do agree.
It's like really, and that's one of the reasons, because Thera was perfect for us. We had the opportunity to like kill everybody in the game, which is why everyone hates us. But that's fine. We got the content, right? But then they changed. I think Wolf was like the resource. No, was it the resource? No, it was the
it was. But it was also in conjunction with the EHP nerf for everything, which did actually hurt us in two ways, because it hurt supers who then didn't want to rat as much at first, at least, and then they also nerfed Lokis and Legions.
Yeah, I mean the Loki nerf. Like we had a Loki doctrine too, which like I was liked, especially fighting like let's say eagles and stuff that you can like resist tank basically, right? Because you have that slot layout, it just worked great. But then so that the Loki change it made me go back to Python and try to make it work again. And it was just always a little bit.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
with the resist changes, like the X-type hardness and stuff, where you could, like on a Loki, like on a Munin, you wouldn't fit like X-type hardness or some shit, right? But on a Loki, you can just go and say like, okay, we're going out like a little bit like expensive tonight. You can pay that extra 100 mil for like a solid set of hardness. And but then it didn't really make that much sense anymore, right? So it was a little bit of a shame. But
Same
at the
happened
end,
to the Legions.
yeah, Legions we never flew, so I don't know.
We used the
they-
Legion heavily.
Yeah,
I
they
fought
did
them
the power
once
grid nerf.
with Lokis actually.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't
All
a
right,
good fight for me.
Yeah. So a specific example for the Legion as well is I remember you could do AB hack Legions. We did dual prop with Volta, but you could just do like the snuff version, just straight AB hack Legion, and you could get near 200,000
The
EHP.
beefy
with
zealots.
these. And then
Oh, no.
after the resist nerf, I think it dropped all the way down to like 135 or something. It was just so extreme because the Legion used all those low slots for resist mods, so it just cut it down completely.
Yeah.
It's no point unless you use slaves and low sec.
And we
got
talked
to the-
about
yeah.
we
Carry
talked
on.
about the AB thing like right before, because we had a little bit of an encounter in one of the drifter wormholes not too long ago, like a couple of weeks ago, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And we
I
caught you
remember.
guys with the pants off.
Yeah.
And it happened to me like only a week before that. I just told StarFleetCommander the story actually. Like a week before that or so, I took like AB zealots out for a fight because that was just the doctrine that we had in 1EQ at the time. We didn't have Munins there. We didn't have other stuff. In hindsight, I should have probably just taken Feroxes, but I didn't think of it. I just took zealots. And then I warped to a fort. And in warp, I realized, this might actually, by the time we land, this might actually change. And then like more and more stuff is landing. I'm like, oh shit, we get tackled here. Let's just align out and act normal, right? And I just warped the fleet out again. But nope, I got bubbled, right? I was like, oh fuck, what am I doing here, right? And then there are 1,000 hostiles in local. Obviously, it's like the war times, right? I was like, shit, like let's hope we can kill enough dictors, but no, we kill one and then two new warp in, right? I was like, fuck this. If
so
you get
punishing.
caught, if you get caught in AB zealots and you're outnumbered, that's it. You're not gonna get away, and you're not killing stuff, and you know it just goes downhill so fast for zealots. Then that was also the problem in Fountain, right? In hindsight, like when the war started, for example, and we were looking at Fountain, like how much can we defend this, right? We should have exploited a little bit our advantage, like when it comes to battleships and stuff, right? We could have just used battleships on the gate under a gemma a little bit better, I feel like, and instead of going with AB zealots, because a lot of times we took the fight and then more and more stuff piles on under tie-dye especially, and you can't get away. And then whenever we lost the fight, we lost it heavy. And whenever we won a fight, it was like, oh yeah, we won the fight, but the units all burned away and warped, right? So it was a little bit of a lesson there.
Yeah. I think just talking about like the legions and like Lokis and how like they're basically becoming useless now and no one uses them anymore. I mean, we saw DT use them the other day, but yeah, absolutely. Well, they went into max, so that's pointless. It doesn't really matter. But like, I think so we're in Thera, weren't we, Wolf? And then we lost all our main doctrines, which were just like tech freeze that allowed us to even attempt to fight outnumbered against like hacks and battle cruisers, and they all disappeared. So now we're left with what I think we did sacks because
we actually did Munins as well because that patch was a huge nerf. I mean, they nerfed them, but overall it was just a big buff for Munins because if you take something like Munins with which links, it's like what 66k EHP, something like that, 67, 68. I don't know. They lose like 4 or 5k EHP, and Legion loses 60. Right? Like, yeah, it's so much easier to alpha a Legion now versus it, just killing a Munin, which is just gonna have ADC anyways. So so it forced us to do Munins, and we did sacrileges.
I hate sacrileges.
Both. I hate both.
Yeah, I hate both as well. I mean, but yeah, and then it got to the point where we couldn't fight anybody because it was just N+1. I didn't, all the groups in nullsec, they'd just be bigger than us, and we'd bring, we could do I know. Well, I think we did like 40 or 30 Munins at the time.
Sometimes up to 50, 60, but if if it's a test Rorqual you tackle, good luck.
It's gonna be like 100 plus Ferrexes or something
Yeah.
that's gonna jump in, and it's like,
Or just
well,
more Munins.
or just more Munins than you, and it becomes
Plus the
a
caps.
game. Yeah. Plus all the
Yeah.
caps jump in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I miss. Like, but it will always be like that, I feel. Like,
I think it's got
miss-
worse.
No, what I'm trying to say is like I always miss like a little bit of the doctrine diversity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People fly different things, but at the same time, it's a very natural development. But like, yeah, we're sitting on those mutants for a long time now, right? On Hex
Yeah,
in
no,
general. But-
no, I understand that like everyone will adapt to the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone adapts
but-
to like, okay, what's best? And
Yeah,
then
I understand
after a
that.
while, they figure that out, and then they go towards that. But yeah, we had mutants or Hex for a while now, and then also that's also funny. Like we had mutants, and now everyone's switching to Eagles, right? And
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
like whenever we talked about it, especially on here, about getting mutant nerfs because everyone's bored of them, like from episode 1 on. Oh no, episode 1 actually not, because that was Elo night, but everyone else like always like, oh fuck mutants. But everyone also agreed, okay, if mutants get nerfed, it's all Eagles, right? So it's not
Yeah,
gonna change
it's
much,
true.
right? And that's exactly what's happening now, right? So everyone's switching to Eagles because, I mean, trading wise on high numbers, they're just way like better range, better EHP, and they're just a little bit more like they have a better kill speed, I think, in Tide and stuff.
Especially at your scale with Init
Yeah.
and the war that you guys are in. Eagles are just incredibly strong, even with the low DPS. At our scale, if we did Eagles, we might struggle just because 30,
No,
40
it's
Eagles
not
isn't-
gonna work.
Blast
It's not that
this
much
is-
DPS, but
it's
you
not gonna
guys are
work.
gonna alpha through everything. So.
When you get to 200 people, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You could be 200 Ferrexes and 200 Eagles. The only thing you're changing is now like your like mobility or your tank. The damage, you're gonna kill stuff. It doesn't actually matter anymore when you get to that range. What fucked us the most is that with Lokis and Legions, like you said, Panda, you could pimp it a bit, and now your ship, like pound for pound, is more powerful than a Munin. Like the old Lokis were stronger than Munins. You could fight more Munins. You know what I mean? You can't do that anymore. You know.
I loved taking 30, 40 Eagles into Munin fleets of like 50, 60 and just shredding them. It was great. And just alpha through them at every range.
Wait, what? Do you mean
Lokis?
Lokis,
yeah, the Lokis into Munins, and you just
Yeah.
have 30, 40 Lokis, just kill like
At the same time,
Munins, easy.
I think mutants, they get scary like at like 60 plus, right? Like 60,
Oh,
70,
no, yeah,
that's where they
definitely.
get scary. Before that, they're not even that scary. Like we fight them like, I don't want to say all the time, but we fought them like recently, like at least, I don't know, 5-6 times. Like, and it was a 50-man fleet, so it's like, I don't know, 20, 30 mutants plus Logis plus like whatever, right? And we fought them in Gilas, which worked really well actually. Because like they're beefy, you don't get alpha, and if you have the rep power, which those Gilas have, you can survive that. And then the whole concept of mutants falls apart because they all rely on that one thing. We apply perfectly, and everything gets alpha, right? Like nobody can rep this, but like when that actually gets repped, like what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and that's the experience. I had an experience versus Guardians of the Galaxy way back in Pure Blind where I actually did Eagles right after the ADC change came out with a smaller group and an old alliance I had, and we fought Guardians of the Galaxy. We had an experience where they were like 50 mutants, and we were maybe like 15 Eagles, but they couldn't alpha us, and so we just killed them.
yeah.
Just because they can't reach if they can't actually alpha through you and you can catch reps, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Mutants are super strong, but at the same time overrated when it comes to a slightly smaller scale, right? If they don't have critical mass, I think there's too many FCs out there that just think, oh, that's like, it's the multi-tool, right? Just mutants.
We have
that
most
strong
doctrines.
in small.
We have mutants now because we're a nullsec alliance now. We own stuff, so you
Yeah.
gotta have mutants now, right? And we use them, but like I think they're definitely not like I say Wolf. They're not our like bring mutants to win all fights doctrine. Like
No,
sometimes we have to do something other things.
Yeah, we're fighting specifically. We're fighting Banderlogs, and they do the old method. Like they do, like it's kind of weird. It's really strange fighting Banderlogs because the way that they actually anchor their fleets is they don't anchor. They do the kind of the dark
Alignment?
side thing where they're all aligning.
Hmm.
Yeah, they all just align. And so we have to do mutants basically because they're doing it in Serbs, and so we just have to run them down pretty much.
Well, that's what I'm doing like most of the time too now, because if I have everyone anchor on me, guess who is getting scrambled? Because in the war right now, like we're mostly outnumbered, so they can always afford to bring like 100 scram assault frigs.
Yeah.
Right? So your anchor is always going to be scrammed. You can forget about anchoring basically, right? And now with the scepter changes too, like it's gonna be even worse. I haven't experienced it yet, but I bet there's gonna be like a 10k per second Tyrannus coming zooming by and scrambling me, like just for the fun of it. So I can't even afford to anchor anyone really. But it always depends on the fight. Like sometimes you can get good fights there, but it's like it's rare, obviously. And I don't even.
A few.
Yeah, I mean I don't want to blame anyone for it. It's war, right? So.
Oh yeah.
We've actively tried to stay out of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like we've because we've had offers from both sides to do things, but nah.
You're like,
Nah, don't know. No.
That's probably a smart move.
Politics. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we look at it after when this finishes, however it finishes, we feel like there's gonna be eyes on us anyways soon.
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna get attacked in like whenever it's over by someone somewhere. Like even though we already are at war, but like with Bandlogs and the other Russians in the region, like I fully expect like someone to come up here.
But so you guys took Sov, and a lot of you guys, So a lot of you guys, I can only see like it didn't have Sov for ages before we took Fountain, right? So I know how it is. Like I can see a lot of you guys saying like, "What Sov? Like what are we doing? Now we have to enforce and defend." Like, and then if you get under pressure, like I don't want to tell anyone who is planning on attacking you guys, but you guys probably struggle to motivate people to actually defend Sov when a lot of you guys probably weren't the biggest fans of Sov in general. But at the same time, you guys probably took Sov to be a target for someone to come and say, okay, let's attack, right? So
maybe. I wouldn't be opposed to farming someone SIG that wants to deploy.
I mean,
if somebody wants to bring out like 70 Feroxes to fight us, please do. I mean, yeah.
Only Feroxes though.
Well, we'll fight mutants too. We'll fight whatever you want to bring.
On the Coalition Infants map, they put us down as hostile states. I mean, so we are the hostiles. So I think that this is the second time we've taken Sov as Volta, right? And in the last, because we dismantled Drainlands, Pando, remember? We killed XX and with Skew Yourself. So we've done the Sov before. But that time it was different because we were working with Skew Yourself, right? So like we had a lot more people. So it was it was a different sort of campaign. Whereas this is more of a when we took the Sov in 7 days. I think we won the initial war in 7 days, and on the 8th day we rested. I'm not joking. There's Wolf did a write up of like every day for 7 days we had like fights every day with UFC and who else was it? Wolf?
Well, so there was a little coalition that formed when we first moved in, and like we kind of got mocked a little bit because it's like, oh, we're fighting our Federation of Respect, Passion, Honor Alliance, like it's PvP powerhouse.
I love that name. They're German though, I think.
But it was. German. They're nice guys. But when we moved in, they formed this little coalition between Banderlogs, UFC, RHP, which is the Federation guys, and then
was XCOM there?
Groups were coming up
by that point.
Kind of. They were kind of there.
Or did you fight all of them?
They were kind of there. They didn't have Sov.
You fought UFC and Banderlogs and the guys. That's I mean, they should have some numbers. It depends on the time zone, of course, right?
Well, UFC really impressively formed really well. The entire first weekend they formed really, really strongly in EU, which they're not in EU alliance. But they formed very strong,
Yeah.
and then Banderlogs formed pretty well. But Banderlogs, the thing is, just with these different groups, is they weren't working together as well as they could have potentially, because Banderlogs form up extremely strong in the EU, but they didn't always show up at the same time as UFC or coordinating, or they would be like more risk averse for the fight. And UFC were like, no, let's go, let's fight, and then we take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I'd-
not a coalition
yeah.
technically, right? They just have the same kind of goal.
Yeah.
Like their goals just aligned.
Well,
So
they did
Stop
all
Bolter.
immediately meet together and get,
Yeah.
blew up. Let's form this little coordination thing. It just didn't, it just collapsed too quickly because there weren't any iHubs down where we placed iHubs, which is why we tried to blitz that constellation specifically, is because we just wanted to get our iHubs down and then just get established, and we were in, and then it's hard to get us out at that point. Or if they
yeah.
did want us out, they'd have to fight us in EU, which is what we want. So
I'd give props to UFC. Like they did try really hard at the start, and they did put up a good fight, and we had some really good fights. I made a video. I don't know if you saw it, Pando.
No,
About
I didn't.
it.
Maybe I should play it at the end here. Didn't we do
Yeah,
that last
yeah.
time? Or no, I think we used it as an intro last time.
I don't know. We can play at the end, and people can
Yeah.
watch it or
Yeah.
something. But I did a video, and it kind of showcased 2 fights that we had on the first weekend. It was like
using
the first...
zealots, by the way.
Yeah, we're using zealots. Yeah.
If they win, they're great. They're just shit
yeah.
when you lose the fight.
Well, there was like a
It's
really
weird.
fun fight we had over a jump bridge reinforce. It wasn't even final timer. We were just reinforcing it, and like it was kind of like the situation where UFC showed up, pushed us off initially. We reformed zealots, went back, and then they reformed, came back, and then RHP showed up, and this other group, Sylvanas Super Mercenaries, they showed up, and like just like this pile on. We're suddenly fighting 3 fleets with the zealot fleet, and it's just like really fun in an AHAC fleet like that.
Yeah,
But it's
like
not always that you get those fights.
even we struggled against UFC at times in US time zone. Obviously, our numbers are way lower in US time zone. We don't nearly form as big as in Euro time zone. But even we had like problems when we fought them every now and then. Obviously, we had to travel all this way from Fountain all up to Fade and Viewblind, which is always like a big disadvantage that's underestimated, I think. If you have to travel long ways,
it's time.
hostiles can always, like, they can scout you easily, they can delay you getting there, which is already like, ugh,
Yep.
Then, they can just say like, oh, we never formed, like, what are you doing here? Like, we don't care, So the blue ball effect is real.
Yeah.
And you expose yourself to that, right? We had the problem leading up with Horde. When Horde deployed up there, we had to travel up there. It's the same thing, right? There was a little bit of a struggle.
And
Did
that's
you guys
why...
not deploy right to Pureblind as well? Weren't you in 7RM? In the French Connection Keep Star?
No, we moved some stuff in there, but I forgot actually. I think we moved only Dreads in there. And then later on, when they unanchored their Keepstar, we just formed everything, made sure that Keepstar's unanchored. And, French Connection was the only reason why we even did anything up there. Because, like, we all agreed going up there is probably not the smartest idea. Like it's a long way, right? Like I just explained. But our friends are there with the Keepstar, so they're kind of committed. Right? In hindsight, it's always easier to say like, oh, we should have done this exactly this way and so on. I think we did an all right job getting their assets saved there.
Someone in the chat just asked why not push against the bigger EU entity. I just want to point out that we weren't expecting them to fight us in EU. We were just expecting us to get space. But they did fight us in EU, and when they did, they had huge numbers in EU, very, very similar to us, or even actually outnumbering us at times.
I want to say as well, like,
it wasn't easy. It wasn't like a breeze or anything, guys.
No, the first fort we put down, right, in Fade, they formed massive, like just UFC, RHP, all of them, and ETZ for our fort that we put down. I think they had like, I don't know how many Abaddons they had. Like
they had 90 Abaddons for UFC.
Yeah, nearly 100 Abaddons, which matched our Mac fleet. Basically, it was more than our Mac. Yeah, it was bigger than our Mac fleet. They had way more than us, but for some reason Darius phoned Horde, so Horn turned up in a 250 Eagle fleet.
Yeah, so the total count there was they had the 91 Abaddons plus their caps. We had 50 something max, like near 60 max plus caps.
Yeah,
and then
that's 60.
They had Banderlogs and a Nightmare fleet. And then they also had RHP and a Serb fleet, and then of course Horde on top of that kind of seals the deal in terms of numbers. We would have fought all those other fleets, but we just couldn't manage the Horde fleet.
Well,
This is all.
I mean, but that's how it sometimes goes in wars, right?
Yeah.
You can form big sometimes, but you can't form big all the time. You know, for example, in Fountain, when we defended Fountain, we did form a CTA, which we don't call all that often. We maybe 3 times a year or so, right? And we had 1,200 chars, 1,200 just from Init. Pretty proud of that number, but then obviously hostels are like, yeah, we're just gonna blue ball this, like we're not gonna fight this because we don't have to, and we can't just form a CTA every day, right? So we saved that timer, which was an important time and all
Oh
that.
god, Wolf, we're doing it wrong.
Term, yeah.
I think we're doing it. We're doing it wrong, Wolf. We form CTA. We do CTAs every morning.
Every morning.
Well,
There's a famous saying that if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority.
Oh my god.
well,
Stop talking sense, okay?
but at the same time, it's alliance culture too, right? Like some alliances call it a CTA, and it's like it just means it's a strategic op, and everyone knows it's just that. So if you would ping like this is the fucking end all, everyone all hands on deck, you will get more numbers, obviously, right? And that's what we call a CTA. So
some people that do that all the time.
there are some
Holy
people,
shit, there's numbers, everybody, right now.
and sometimes it works for people, right? So, like
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta get excited about it.
I mean, I noticed joining Volta that, we hadn't been in Null a lot or anything like this, but before Volta or before, there was another alliance that we were in Try for a bit, but they, most alliances, like you said, have CTAs or strat ops. You guys have like a alpha, beta, that kind of thing, right? That's what you call it.
yeah.
That's kind of an interesting.
How do you
system.
know?
I don't know.
How do you know?
Okay, no,
How would I know?
Let's be honest here. Okay, we obviously have spies in pretty much every alliance in the game. Otherwise, we wouldn't know when all your umbrellas go up and down and everything. Like, it's not a secret. Like,
I knew this in Try because when we were in Venal, we killed that KQ. I think what was it? It was an init jump bridge to like pure blind. And I remember Darkshines was pretty mad about it because it was a form where
sounds like him.
It was the Guardians of the Galaxy was what was going on, and there was a guy in Try who just troll refed the jump bridge iHub, and then showed up 2 days later, and it had not a beta or an alpha fleet form, and they didn't get there in time, and the iHub died, and then that jump bridge was gone for a little bit, but. Yeah, I remember also reading your doctrine names are all different. You guys code name your doctrines.
We don't really. I don't know
What
if
are
it's as much
ghosts?
of a code name as it is just like. I think it's just more fun to have names for them.
Wait
What
a
are
second.
ghosts?
What do you
Are they
mean?
Ghosts? Is that what you call them? Ghosts? What are those?
Never heard of them.
Well, I don't know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
I see a smirk there. Little.
No. So
we know what you're talking about. It's all
No,
good.
no.
We see it all.
when we talk about ghosts, we're talking about our alpha army kind of thing, right? So we can
Okay.
we have like, and you're now soft folders. Maybe I should explain how it works.
Okay.
So basically, when we go on deployment, which we like to do usually, then who's defending our space, right? Like usually nobody, and you don't want to clone jump. You don't want to open that up for someone to do shit. Like for example, we've got LSH and Iridia. It can be a pain in the ass if you don't watch out, right? You have to kind of contain them. Trust me, right?
Yeah.
And so for that we have alpha tunes that just you can just log in, and then you have like a Ferox. It's just alpha skilled. You have to block people with it. You can't just take the one-on-one fight with Volta legions, for example. Like, don't do that, right? But they get their job done most of the time.
Are you talking about when the caps warped to the wrong place? That fight, Hando.
That wasn't the wrong place. It was the right place at the wrong time.
What did they do?
The place
I can't
was
remember what they
bubbled,
did.
right?
We like tackled it in the staging or something, but in a site, and then they were all trying to warp out, and then they went somewhere. I can't remember what was going on.
So,
and you were streaming as well.
Yeah, so what happened was we had a guy form a carrier fleet to do incursions. That was actually in Cloud Ring, not in Fountain. And I was actually streaming another fleet. I forgot what I wanted to do. I think I wanted to just do a small roam or something. And then suddenly he says,
you
hey,
left.
I'm tackled. Yeah. Hey, I'm tackled with those carriers. can you help me out? I'm like, sure. What's tackling you? And he says, Volta in legions. I'm like, how many? And he says, like, yeah, like 30. I'm like, all right,
Oh
we
yeah,
can
yeah,
do this.
yeah.
So I form low keys up. I'm like, oh, we can handle those, right? I show up and it's like 70 of you. I'm like, okay, all right, let's just fucking act tough, right? We warp in because I knew you were like kind of off the warp in. I warp in, hoping I can kill the tackle, which we did. And I told him to go safe. I should have told him, don't warp blindly to a keepstar. It might be bubbled, right? so we cleared the tackle. We lost, I don't know. We lost a few Lokis, like 5 Lokis or so. And then he warps carriers on. I'm like, okay, drop down. Let's get the fuck out of here, right? So I warp the fleet, and what do I find out? The carriers are now tackled on the keepstar grid because he bubbled the keepstar, which isn't easy to do actually. So like, people might think you just warp it $100 bubble. Like, no, on a keepstar you have to do it at 490k, otherwise you get doomsday, right? So the chances that if you warp out, the keepstar is actually bubbled properly, they're fairly low usually, right? I would argue on like nobody sets that up quickly during a fight. Like in 99.9% of the case, you get away with it. So he warped out and said like, okay, it's gonna be fine, but nope. You guys were
I don't know who did the bubble for that, but I called for a bubble to the keepstar or something. And then
he did a good job.
I'm guessing the guy did it. Yeah, well, obviously, I don't know. He just obviously knew what he was doing. I said don't make it in range of the keepstar. Like I remember saying that, so I don't want to get like doomsdayed or some shit. Like like, just get alphaed. But I remember that fight. I was watching the stream as well at the same time. I was watching your stream whilst FCing.
A lot of people probably do that when they're fighting.
Toxic as fuck.
No, I expect that. I don't have a problem with it. That was a good fight.
Do you still use Swish tars?
No, we switched them back. So Ishtars have, we have a long, when we're all complaining about Murans right now, about hacks in general. Yeah. You remember the times of the Ishtar? Like when everyone was flying Ishtars?
I missed the time of the Ishtar. That was my jam.
I don't want to brag or anything, but we were really good at it. We were really good at flying Ishtars, and one-on-one scenario, we would, like 99% of the time, we would win. We would like flying Ishtars out, and I liked it too. I think there was like more.
Nah, you wouldn't beat me in War God. You're not gonna beat me in War God, Pando. Nah, that's not on. I'm not allowing that. War God was the best FC of Ishtars ever.
Maybe, but
War God was.
Maybe we were fighting softer targets and say that, but. I always thought, Ishtar Online, it's kind of boring that everyone flies the same stuff, but they had, more dimensions to them because of the drones, right? Drone range, drone control range, then, obviously optimal tracking and all that stuff plays a role. They can get killed, right? So you can come up with extra stuff, and that's more my thing, right? Like, usually when we flew these Ishtars, it was usually Shimes running the Ishtars, and I was thinking about, how can we kill the other Ishtars better, Be it void bombs, be it smart bomb battleships in the thingies, or a little bomb wing and stuff like this. That's what I actually enjoy, right?
They're trash now. I can tell you that.
No, we actually fly them. No, we actually fly them on shield again because they trade really well in those big fights. They really do.
Well, you need like 2 boosters.
I remember the lead up to Switch Stars because I remember seeing all the training pings and the Switch Star training. I recall all that, and then I remember the first ping went out, and you guys used them against zombies.
No, yeah. Well, I didn't use. Okay, that's a different thing actually. Those are not the Switch Stars. I mean,
oh really? Okay.
There's a different version of them. So what I wanted to do was, so I have to go back to explain that. So usually,
this is a long time ago.
Yeah. So usually Ishtars used to be shield tanked, right? And they had good EHP, good DPS, and all that stuff, and they just worked out that because of that. Then they changed the slot layout, so shield tank wasn't as viable anymore. It's the same slot layout right now, actually, right?
It hasn't changed.
Yeah. So we switched to armor Ishtars, and then I instead of going for I think it's usually 1 SIBO and something, I just went full EWAR on them, and I was like, how about we do an EWAR based doctrine, because we have several EWAR based doctrines. Armor Max was one, and I forgot what it was. We had something else that also used a lot of EWAR. So one problem whenever you talk about an EWAR doctrine is how do you distribute your EWAR power, right? that has always been that issue. So
Mm.
I kind of try to work out a system how to be like not perfectly efficient with it, but almost, by using more tagging. And I wanted to get people used to using tags for all kinds of things. Be it, oh yeah, I'm an addictor, we should be using tags. I think like I'm staying on this guy, I'm staying on that, and so on, right? Like I want people to get used to using tags in general. And then there's a lot of incursion pilots in all groups. They're already used to this anyway, right? So my idea was that we just move people around in squads, and everyone gets their set of tags, and then everyone knows, okay, this is my target to disrupt, this is already disrupted, and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And I didn't go out to fight those domies. That's just the fight I got, right? I was like, fuck it, right?
I was eager to see how they were gonna do, and then I was like refreshing Zeke, and I was like, "What? They're fighting dummies? Like all this E-war."
What are you gonna do though, right? So that's
Yeah.
always the thing. If you take out a doctrine for the first time, right? You want people to get home and head, like they want to have some fun, right? Even if it's like, even if you lose a couple guys, you want that fight. I did the same with Gilas not too long ago when I pushed it to alliance level and formed a big Gila fleet. We wiped the entire fleet, but I mean, we fought a shit ton of people, right?
Yeah.
But like the first fight, I always feel like if you introduce a new doctrine and you don't take the first fight, it's always kind of, you know, the hype goes down, you know, and you want a little bit of momentum behind it. So sometimes it just doesn't work out. You don't get the fight you want, and sometimes you get completely dumpstered, like in the Gilas, for example. But I still believe, like, you kind of, you know, if it's in any way possible, if there is a chance of you winning it, then you should take it probably. And I mean, the Gilas, the Ishtars, they worked okay-ish against the Domies. Obviously, they're still hacks. They still have DPS. Obviously, the complete E-War setup, what we trained even, right? I explained everything, so it completely was useless against Domies. But what are you gonna do?
I like the thing is that I like the idea of the Ishtar, and we tried it not the same way you did with the tags, but we did try setting up. We tried to bring back almost sentry Ishtars with not heavy drones, but just sentries, and just put people in squads like that and do assignments. They just don't.
It doesn't work. I'm
well.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I think Ishtars are horrendously terrible with boosters. I think they are useless.
I mean, the key is always where do you drop your drones and how.
Well, you can't like you. It doesn't matter where. Like you have to. You just get a booster to boost your drones off. Someone just walk down the booster, and now you have a bunch of drones that are now really far away.
Well, like obviously,
it's like they have to be heavy drone based.
Yeah, it has to be heavy drone based. It can't be sentries, basically.
I mean, the key is though, if you drop your drones just spread out enough, so a booster could boost a few drones, but it's not the end of the world if he booshes like, let's say 8, 9, 10 drones, right? That's 2 Ishtars you lose of DPS, but Ishtars compared to other hacks have fairly high DPS. That's why people always come back to them and say like, that's kind of interesting.
Yes, but if you want to do what you're saying, you need to have a set. You need to like, you know, stagger your drop when you're anchoring, right? Like, so you tell squads to drop in the line, yeah. But even then, like, you're right. Like, they're still good, but like, I actually think that with the current other hacks, they are nowhere near on any level. I think anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, so Shines brought them back, and he did trade well against be it Murans or be it Eagles, right? Outnumbered too, so they do perform quite good. And the advantage is, yes, you can counter those drones. There's several ways: smart bombs, normal bombs, bushes, but that kind of needs a little bit of time of setup. And usually fights don't take that long on a scale. That like they don't have really the time to get that properly set up. And like bushes, obviously, like you're aware of that, and then you would like kill him hopefully fast enough.
You could stagger your drones. That would work. But like I think we tried them. I just think that like maybe we weren't fighting the right targets. I don't know.
I think you had success. I wasn't there for this, but I think we had success against Tengus. Was it?
I can't remember. Yeah, we did okay against something, but then like I can't remember what we were. I think the same people changed their attitude and like they just messed with the drones. Like no matter where you
Yeah.
put them, the sentries. I mean, they just like it was a bit of a nightmare. They got bombed, and then they got
Yeah.
even though bombing was still a problem even before like I think booshing is a real another one that kind of you could spread them out I
Yeah.
guess.
I know that you're saying that it's maybe 5-10 drones getting boosted is not such a big deal, but to us
It
it
is,
can
It,
be.
yeah.
for you guys, it is, yes.
We've
And
only
also,
got 20 to 30 stars potentially, so it's a big deal. Every
Yeah.
A star we lose is huge.
yeah, I think it depends on the fights you get. Like, that's 100%, right? So if you expect people like UFC, there's some crafty dudes. Like, they will bring
They
cool
do
stuff.
it. They'll do
They
it.
will
Yeah.
bring like weird stuff. They like to think about solutions about like stuff. So if you bring Ishtars, you can bring them against them, but you shouldn't bring them all too much, right? Because if you bring them a second or third time in a row, they're gonna be prepared, and then you're gonna struggle real hard. So you can get away with it, I think. But yeah, I mean, in our case, it's a trading large scale doctrine right now.
Yeah.
That's all what it is, right? Like, we lose shit, but yeah, like, no matter what doctrine we bring to these fights, we will lose stuff, right? We're not going to tank anything, really, right? So we want to kill as much as we can, and it's just do that
Sure.
fairly well.
No, I can understand. Like it's instant damage, at a nice range. So
Yeah.
it's and the tracking's really good. They pretty much hit nicely on everything. Doesn't
And you
really
can
matter.
choose the damage type too, right? You can,
Yeah, it's so good. Like it's but like also like like the other day I can't remember what we're doing. But like we're like one more. We'd be like we need one more person to actually take this fight because we don't have enough volley or something, to kill ships.
That was another Mutant versus Serb situation where Serbs, by the way, I know you like them, Starfleet, but I think they're utterly trash. But
I think if you know how to use them, they're good.
all right,
high
agree to
DPS
disagree.
hacks.
But
It depends on what you're
like,
fighting.
But basically, yeah, we needed just a few people. It's just what it comes down to. It for us is we have to pick the right doctrine where we end up with 1 or 2 more people and we can take a fight, and 1 or 2 less. It's going to be really, really, really challenging.
Which leads us on to our current situation, Wolf, who we're fighting. So we're at war with Russians, who are fighting.
Bandologs.
Yeah, bandlogs. Who are fighting. Who have all of their stuff timed to downtime. Only 900, like that area. And there was a Reddit post the other day on Reddit, obviously, where I think it was the leader that posted it. I think it was
One of them, not one of them, Tiberius.
and he like put this whole thing about. It was okay. He just most of it he did just basically just say what was going on, but
Yeah.
I feel like what he misses out is like we're the ones that are like have to get up like on a work day at 9 in the morning to fight them because we want the fight. We want the fight. Do you know what I mean? Like so we're like completely in our opposite time zone, and we still beat them. Which is good, but it was not all the
Yeah, not
time. Yeah,
always.
sometimes
Not
we do
always,
lose.
but they'll show up and they'll fight, and they take fights in such a different way than most other alliances. Like a lot of alliances, like you get on grid, you commit for a little while. Okay, maybe you're losing the fight and you decide to bail. But the way that Benelux will play it is they will always try to force you into a bad situation, which fair play to them. But when you do get any kind of good situation versus them, or even just mutants or jumping into them, they're gonna try to kill 1 ship, maybe 2, and then they're gonna warp no matter what. If they've lost a ship or not, they're gonna warp off.
It might
And
be
they
the
just want
smart
to trade
way.
with you like that. They just want to try to trade like that constantly. It's not it's not. I don't want to say it's not enjoyable. It's just definitely a challenge in terms of how you take the fight and like how you run them down, which is also why we have to do mutants basically, because we have to keep up
I
with
give
it.
them credit. They really do want to defend their stuff, and they're very they're way bigger than us as well.
They'll
I
do
think
all kinds of creative stuff. Like they've got this Banderlogs Academy thing from HiSec as well, and they'll bring them down in like 50 destroyers, and then simultaneously they'll have another Russian group try to hit our space elsewhere, and then they'll form a really large Serb fleet on their own that it outnumbers us, and so we have to find a way to fight this Serb fleet, and then also go deal with these destroyers, and also go deal with this other, this third fleet that's running around our space as well. So it makes for some interesting
it's usually
times for sure.
XCOM.
Yeah, usually
XCOM are the ones doing
X
that.
Empire, yeah.
If you know who they are, Panda, which is like a corp from no value. It's like 1 corp left. It's like 1 Russian corp left, no value, and they made their own alliance and they own
XCOM.
Sovereign Pureblind.
I think I've seen a ticker, but That's
Yeah.
basically what it.
The corp is called X-Files. It's the corp. It's like quite a large corp that used to be in near
Yeah.
Valley, but yeah, then they go around and they like start hitting our Sov and Fade, and yeah, it's interesting, these fights with Bandlog. It's definitely like, you know, like Wolf said, they want to kill 2 ships and warp out straight away.
Hey,
I think they've yet to really contest us head on. I don't think.
They've not been successful in terms of actually. There was a jump bridge fight the other day where we rushed to defend. I
Yeah.
wasn't actually there, but we rushed to defend. Another FC
I wasn't there
rushed to
either.
defend, and when you're rushing, it just, you know, you make mistakes, right?
yeah.
And so he ended up making mistakes, and we just weren't able to get fleet set up, you know, the way that we normally would want to get it set up. And then we got memed, we got booshed. It sounds like they had like 6 boosters, and they were just, you know, boosting as much as they could. And
Gotta love the bushes, yeah.
I know. Well, I remember your fleets because I was in Losec at the time,
Oh,
and I
which
would help
ones?
Nocturnal Romance and Syndicate. I showed up with a really big Galente militia fleet one time to help, and I remember they were always telling me horror stories about your Bush fleets back when you could do fleets of them.
That was probably the Snatch fleet.
Yeah,
you know what?
it
We
was.
talked about that the
Yeah,
other day, and I watched some old videos. I have no idea how I fucking managed to run these. It's such a headache. It's such a headache to run. Like, think about it. Like, the whole concept is you're in fairly low DPS ships, but almost everyone has a bush, and the only thing that goes for you is you move by bushing, and you always move in one ball. While hostiles are usually a little bit spread out, so whatever, like, you will always get the bush, but they might, some of them, right? So as soon as you catch some, you just stay on them, and then you grind them down, and it takes a long time. It was fun, but I could not, like, I cannot believe, like, I wouldn't enjoy it right now. I think it would be such a headache. I don't know how I did it. I don't know.
Well,
It was too
they were
crazy.
they got nerfed after you
Yeah, obviously.
quite a bit. Yeah.
They
But
got
anyway,
nerfed because of him.
yeah,
Well-
sure. I don't doubt that. That makes complete sense. I'm glad they did because it wasn't fun to fight. I'll tell you.
What
But it's fun to do
the
it.
old
I never even lost a fleet to you. There was one fleet where I had like 15 Tech 3s, and you guys had a really small bush fleet. It might not even have been you, and it was in Losec, and you know they didn't have enough to actually grind us down, so we were just killing these bush testies slowly. But it wasn't fun at all. Just getting booshed around for like 10 minutes.
But I
you
mean,
talk about
so
the old boosting, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
so when people first started complaining about bushing, it was to, like, at the snatch times when we were running the snatch fleets. And so what people don't understand is we were all anchored on 0, orbiting 1 anchor, basically only moving with bushes. The thing is, they weren't coming up with any counters, and there are some counters to that, right? Like, I've said it like 100 times, and they were always calling me out like, oh, what are the counters? Like, as if I would tell you. And I had the counter actually in Python or in EFT at the time, I guess, this entire time, which is Emo Lokis, right? Because you can just whoop in and they're all dead. Do that twice, nobody's gonna run this doctrine anymore, because, like, how are you gonna do that? Like, you always have the potential that 10 guys can just wipe your entire fleet out. So that was always so annoying to me, right?
We
I
use
understand
them a
that.
lot. We use in skill. We use the rocks, boosting rocks.
Yeah,
That was like our main doctrine.
I totally agree, though, that if people get really proficient with them, it's really hard to catch them. It really is hard to catch them, especially when you talk about not even bush rocks. Bush rocks, they're not that hard to catch because they're too slow to avoid getting keymote, right? If all the bushers die, your rock fleet is going to die soon after.
Yeah,
But
well, XX
bush
tried to do
eagles,
that. What
bush
you
hacks,
said. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it got, like, people did that to us too in Ravens. But what if I have 10 more bushers ready to go on a save? They just whoop in, and then your chemos are dead because, like, we kind of expected that. And then I think NC did that, like, at least two or three times to us. But we countered them with our own smart bombs because chemo, Lokis, or legions or whatever, they don't have a lot of EHP on other resists, right? So we can just wipe them out, bring our fresh bushers in, and we're still in business. Yeah. But where was I going with this? I don't even know.
You're just talking about the counters and using them and how they've changed,
Chemo
I guess.
Lokis and Python.
Yeah, Chemo Lokis as the counter.
Yeah, I forgot where I was going with this.
That's all right.
But
Anyway,
I
we
talked
use them.
too much about it anyway.
We use the rocks in skill stuff, and we used the boosting rocks, which were really effective against XIX at the time.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
I'm not surprised the fleet got nerfed because of you. Just
I
because
remember
the
where I was
entire
going.
Boosh fleet.
I was going to, like, the problem began when it was Hex, AB Hex doing it, because you can't chemo those. They're moving too fast. You always land too late, right? So they're too mobile, too tanky on top of it with ADC. They have the range for whatever reason. Hex locks super far. I don't know why, but you know, that combo is just too. It became too oppressive after a while, and I can't see that. You know, I feel like there's a lot of doctrines. You just need a lot of range, and then what are you gonna boosh? Like you have less HP, less DPS. You can still counter them easy peasy, but you know, it was a tricky subject. You know, it was a little bit sad for me, but I'm over it.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, are you?
Yeah, I am. It's fine. The boosh nerf is okay.
This is fine.
This is
I
fine.
remember a lot of the fleets in low sec, in snuff and things like that. Because of the way that boost mechanics were working, we had to do the scram chains on Macarials, and it was just so aids to just design your doctrines around this one guy might boosh us, and you're dead if you get booshed. This one deci might slip through, so we have to. Everybody's got a scram chain. Got to whole chain up and down. And in faction warfare, it was doubly horrible because you couldn't do it in faction warfare because you would hurt your standings to faction warfare. So you had to duel each other. You had to duel the person above and below you, and you had to re-aggress them in order to keep the duel going.
But that's the thing. That's not a good counter against bushing, because that's what I was looking for. To be honest, from day one, we had always an ECM burst on all those bushes, right?
Yeah.
So what if we want an ECM burst? Then it's even better for us, because we don't want your whole fleet. We want just like 10 of you, right?
So, yeah. That's the thing. That wasn't intended to counter that setup. That was intended to counter the 4 or 5 guys that might do it. That's it. Just to preserve your fleet a little bit. Yeah, they can still get, which is why you have an up and down chain with Macarials. It's two, you have 2 people scramming you.
Yeah, it's crazy that you would scram you. Yeah. You know what, actually, so one funny counter that Ragnar Bile, you remember Ragnar Bile? He was leader
he still
of
plays.
Culture.
He still plays.
Oh, he's in PL now, I think, right?
No, Ragnar, no, he's in a small corp.
He used to be in PL then.
He's in a small corp now. He's in what's it called? I forgot what it's called. They live in a CT or something.
He's not in higher than Everest again.
Peak, no, Peak closed, and Peak.
Oh,
Peak is now. God, Pando, God, I don't know what's going on.
Hey, I'm distracted with this war thing.
Oh yeah, you got
my
this
excuse.
war on. Oh, excuses. No, I think they pretty much disbanded, and Adita made a corp called Top Damage or something. Top. They're in Trigger. Some went to Trigger, and then some went to.
Well, there's Strix Raidens now.
Strix Raidens. That's what it's called. That's where Ragnar is. Thank you.
Yeah. So the counter he came up with, I'm not sure if it was him or one of his guys, but he was the FC of that fleet. They had a sign on every Ferox.
Yeah.
So we engaged them and did there's one way where you just regroup everyone. You should sit still and everyone is just orbiting you at 500, right? And then everyone MJD and everyone gets just spread out so crazy. And then he called everyone to Sino. And a lot of people Sinoed quick enough, but a lot of people didn't, right? So a lot of Feroxes were suddenly at 100 all across the grid with Sinos up. It was complete craziness. But yeah, I was
a really interesting idea.
Yeah, you can Sino and then you can't get boosted.
Yeah.
But you're stuck.
You are stuck, yeah. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good way to get bombed, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like they did it, more for fun than anything. They were crafty enough to know the consequences, right? So they did it for fun. And Feroxes, you can afford to do some Feroxes.
Sure.
But I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, that's a good play.
Yeah.
But yeah, these better looks guys, they are interesting that they will adapt, and we've been using mutants versus their Serbs, and it's not gone well for them. And I think it's been 8-9 fleets now where they've just it doesn't work.
They keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. So they'll trade with us. They'll do rapid light serbs, or they'll do heavy missile serbs, and they'll kill. To be fair, two, 3, 4 logi, 2, 3, 4 semis, and then they'll lose like 10 serbs. So it's like the
Yeah.
trade doesn't work out for them. Like slowly they just lose and they just warp off. I'm really curious if when they're going to adapt, because they're the kind of group that adapts to everything. I'm really curious to see what they're gonna undock.
You know, that's another thing. When we did Stukas, the first 3 fleets or so, I completely wiped them. Right? It didn't work. Maybe there's a concept they have in mind that they still have to figure out, but at the same time, like Serbs are so straightforward that I'm not sure if there's anything that you can.
There's
do
no other
different.
angle.
Yeah.
Well, they could win. They just need to play better. I think they could beat us. There's a couple of fights that we've had. That's really like, I know it's really obnoxious, whatever.
So
But like,
Did better.
if they just were not shit, then they win. No, I'm joking. Like, no, there's just a few fights that we've been in, and like, if the roles were reversed and we were in Serbs, we would win. Like, because they're just, I don't know, the positioning's not really great, and they're doing this or they're doing that. I don't want to actually tell them what to do, but there's
well,
a
range
few,
is their friend, right? Obviously.
just yeah, but like in certain situations, they're like just sort of. It's just like,
They're
why are
making some
they?
pretty plain mistakes that make it easy for us to kill them. Basically, is what it
Yeah,
comes
I
down
mean,
to. Yeah.
well,
They
it's
outnumber us. Yeah.
What
it's
mistakes?
kind of-
Come on. They're not listening. They're Russian anyway.
Oh, they're always listening.
Come on,
Russians
tell me.
Well,
everywhere.
What
It goes
mistake?
back. I
They,
mean,
they
yeah.
just go in a straight line. And
Yeah.
They just burn in one line, and all we need to do is just burn in a straight line with them, and then
They're giving us perfect tracking.
we're just gonna just sit there and alpha we just boom, 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 like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, it's not even like if
Maybe.
they just turned a tiny bit, it would be a bit more challenging.
Maybe it comes back to the discussion we had on the last one with the missiles. Like, how does the missile DPS stack up when targets burn into the missiles and all that stuff, right?
That's because, but do you know why we're not doing that? Because I know that I'm not going to burn a Munian fleet 100 kilometers to a Serb fleet. Because that's all the other fleets that I fought in Nullsec when I was doing Serbs against Munian fleets. They'd all just burn like 70 kilometers to like across to us, because they have like 3 times the numbers, so they can just tank it. But well, we were in like high grade mid grade Serbs, I think, from at that time. So we're like really fast Serbs. But like these guys, I think we're always careful. We never ever like burn far. Like we have to land close.
Yeah.
It has to
Unless
be. We have to.
Yeah, unless we're doing something very casual, like hurricane fleet issues or something, we're gonna be really particular about our positioning and our warp ends. So we're not
Yeah.
gonna burn unions like that into Serbs. We're gonna get an ankle on them in some way.
But at the same time, so that's what the discussion was about last time too, I believe.
Yeah,
So
no.
if you think about the situation, so the Serbs are at 100 and you are like at 0, right? You burn towards them and they fire at you, then the DPS is going to be higher than
They have a
than they
massive
should be.
advantage. They have a
Yeah.
huge advantage over us. If we are at 0 and they're at 100 and we burn towards them, we're going to lose pretty much our entire Logi wing before we even get in range. Like, it's just going to happen. Like, it will happen.
But at the same time, if they burn away from you, I'm not sure that Serb speed is probably 1.9 or something. Like, what is it?
Yeah, so something around there. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the
And
Munians
then
are
Munian
faster.
speed is,
So
yeah, so the Munians will catch up, but they're not catching up all that fast. So the DPS doesn't go up that much higher, to be honest. Like, if you, like, that's the only thing you guys should be trying is, like, keep at range, right? Like, stay in your DPS range. The closer, the better, obviously.
Yeah, but we're not gonna the difference is if it was reversed, I'd always one of the things I used to do as well is have my ult in front of our fleet, right? And then when the enemy fleet warps to us,
You can
I warp my fleet 100 in front. You know, I always did that. So like, I can't think it was against PL. I think it was actually Headliner who was doing a Munian fleet, and he warped his entire fleet onto my fleet, and I warped 100 kilometers in front. And then obviously, this Pando, you always tell sabers to bubble when you land, and then the fleet's gone, and now their entire fleet has bubbled themselves. You know what I mean? Like, but by the time we've gone, it's too late, and that one guy who just wants to did a good thing and bubbled the fleet doesn't realize we've all initiated warp, and it's too late. And then obviously I did that a lot. We used to do that all the time. So just keep like pouncing in front and then fire missiles, and then they're kind of like in that situation. I'm pretty sure he was like, I'm screwed. So they just burnt towards us. But like I think whenever we're fighting banders, we never ever like burn. Like we always
That
start at
far.
least
The gap is
40
maybe 30
kilometers,
kilometers. Yeah, 40 maybe.
40 max kilometers away. Like we have to be in range to alpha stuff, otherwise we are wasting time.
Yeah, I mean, it makes
Like,
sense.
We don't
I
have
What they
enough
could
units
do.
to alpha from 90 kilometers. Like
No.
obviously- yeah, like if you have
So-
80 units, sure, whatever. But we have 30, 40.
What they could do is have a little bit of a bomb wing, right? So then,
Whoa!
So-
oh, let's not give them ideas.
hey, Benelux.
okay?
So
Let's,
Benelux, if you're listening, right?
let's
if they
not give
bring
them some
mutants,
ideas.
You bring a lot of Mandicores, like let's say bring 10 Mandicores, a couple voids in there, a couple kinetic bombs. You'll soften them up. They will all
Oh,
ADC,
why the hell did we
which
come on the
helps
show?
you, which helps you a lot, right? If you guys have to all ADC and your half shield. Sorry, Miranda, what did you say?
Is it Paruski, Paprosha?
All right.
Just do an impression and explain it to them.
Yeah. So a bomb wing is gonna help a lot. I think.
Yeah.
You
I
get
think
kept
they
out,
would-
you can't burn after them anyway, but your half shield and all ADCs are on cooldown. Serbs can run through some units.
There's a few things they could do. Yeah.
There's
There
lots
is
of
a
things
few
they could do. One of them is not to do the weird align thing they do because it's just making. The thing is, they're losing fights because of that because they're not willing to commit to a fight. They're
That's
not willing
it.
To stay
That
on
is
grid
it.
long enough. They could
That-
actually kill quite a few things, but they don't stay on grid long enough. So
That's it. They
Fine.
don't. Their mentality is not to commit to fight us. Their mentality is to kill a few ships and then whoop off. That's
which they
literally
often
all
don't
they've been.
do. So like what happens is we jump in, they try to kill something, they get really close, we kill one Serb, and they freak out and warp off. They're not willing to try something else. They only try 1 or 2 primaries, and they don't take the time to try to work through it a little bit, like you sometimes can do and pull the fight back. They're not willing to try that, so they just go and then they just bleed these Serbs over these grids. 3 or 4 grids, they'll bleed 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Serbs, and then they're gone.
Yeah, Benelux, get 10 bombards, you're gonna be fine.
Oh, for God's sake! I
No,
saw
no.
in the chat.
They're gonna warp
someone's-
right into you. Easy snacks.
In the chat, someone asked about our first opponent for this Alliance Open
Oh yeah, we should
'cause-
talk about that.
because we're fighting against like probably the best team in the game in our first match. So Vidra, we're playing against Vidra Reloaded. That was I mean, I watched it live on the stream when Bay RJ made the brackets, and I just thought typical. We're either gonna lose because we have a first match against Vidra, or we're gonna get jammed. That was basically it. Like,
But,
just-
so, wait a second. Does the tournament actually have a loser bracket, or like
Yeah.
you lose your own?
it's double elimination, so we do like
Right.
we could run through we could run through the losers bracket. In fact, this is the last time this happened was 5 years ago or something, or 4 years ago when our first match was Hydra Reloaded, and then we lost, and then we had a run in the losers bracket where we played 6 matches in a row and won them all, and then I think we lost to I can't remember who we lost to, maybe PL or something, I can't remember. So maybe it'll be like that this time round. But yeah, kind of annoying that we're fighting Vidra, but we're gonna try and win. So and it's a bit different this time round. I don't know if you know Pando. Like they have like wild cards, and like every team can like submit or has submitted limited edition ships they can fly because it's not on TQ this time round. This tournament.
Is it on what's it called?
It's on
Thunderdome?
Thunderdome.
Yeah.
So
Which
like
is weird. So
I think
so you told me earlier too, like so they weren't allowed to call it Alliance tournament, and I kind of
Yeah,
do
so-
agree with that. I kind of
Yeah,
it's
no,
not the
yeah.
Alliance tournament, right? It's something else. So
I agree. Like the Alliance tournament is a tournament that is historic and has like an esteem and a status in the game of like these people are gonna risk loads of money to play in these matches. But they called it the Alliance Open because it's kind of like I'm pretty sure that like CCP were just like, okay, let's give them a tournament. We'll give them a tournament to do or something. I'm pretty sure
Wow.
they're just like
that sounds so
like-
negative. I think they want to. I mean, they say they want to push in that direction that people are more able to pull their own tournaments off. So they support. I'm sure someone came to them and said like, "Hey, we want to do this. Can you support us?" Right?
No, yeah. I mean, even Tia, the guys that run it, and they're amazing. Their production, like the last Alliance tournament, which was 2 years ago
Wait,
now,
who's
they
running
did
it?
sorry.
Like, who's running it?
It's like it's gonna be run by the Eve NT guys, which is like the people that did the run like Eve Nottingham, and they did Eve London. Like Bayard J and Nash and Elise is involved as well, obviously, and a few other people that help out. And there's probably a lot of people that I've forgotten, but they're the ones that they did. They pretty much did the full like studio setup for the Alliance tournament 2 years ago. They took it off CCP, so they ran it themselves. So like they're more than capable of doing it themselves. But I think in terms of CCP's angle, because I spoke to Ragnarok at Eve London, I think that they're kind of not really convinced that the Alliance tournament adds much to the game, especially to like prizes as well. One of the big things was prizes, about how they're kind of they benefit like a few people or something. I can't remember, but I think this tournament, I think the prizes for this one are skins and money. I think.
Yeah, you know what? I think I kind of changed my opinion on the Alliance tournament. I never participated in it. I always in the background maybe came up with some doctrines or like some ideas. I kind of like theory crafting. What a surprise! So when I have something good, I would approach someone. But I never participated in it. So I always looked from the outside, and I always thought like, it's kind of the same people winning. And for a time, it was like that. It was PL and Hydra dominating, right? So
that's true.
It always felt like these guys, they're so far ahead, kinda, and they have their little club which they can train with, and they have like this massive advantage, which I think they had a bit of an advantage. Then put Alliance tournament ships on top of that, right? They can approach that with like the confidence to field those, right? Even if they lose a few, they don't have to care anymore, because that Alliance tournament team probably has like plenty more.
Yeah.
So that's another little bit of an advantage. So it always felt like that. I'm not sure if it's like as bad as it felt back then. But then when it was gone, I was also missing that whole thing. There was always that event once a year, right? You had a fan fest, and then you had the Alliance tournament, right? So you had those two events that you could always looking forward to. And I underestimated how much I'm gonna miss Alliance tournaments, to be quite honest.
Because I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people had the same thing as well. Like I think a lot of people now miss it more than they realized, like since it's gone. But like, I do agree that there is like definitely like the sort of like clique of like the big teams that like are like all know each other, and most of us train against each other. I know that obviously Vidra and Hydra would train together in prior years, and my team and Tuskers would train together, and then you'd have PL and NC Dot train together. So like all that the big teams sort of just scrim against each other, and then the skill gap is massive. But I actually would say that like the skill gap has gotten, especially in the Alliance tournament, the last one, there's a lot more good teams now than they were like 5 years ago. The level has gotten up. There's more teams that are coming into the fray, like, and being really good. But I understand like it's quite intimidating. Do you know what I mean? Like for some newer teams to be playing against, Hydra could lose a Maracha or something in a match. It doesn't really matter. They probably got 2 more. Who cares? For them. But if it wins in the match, because that's another thing about the AT. The prizes are so worth it. Putting an AT ship on the line was nothing compared to what you're going to win, which is trillions of ISK. Do you know? So
yeah.
But there were some amazing matches. Do you know? Like when PL and Hydra were fielding, I think one of the matches was like a trillion ISK on the field, and Shadoo was going mental. Do you remember that? He was actually losing his shit because there was like so much money on the line, and I think he was shouting at us standing up. I was watching that thinking this is amazing. You just don't get those matches now where it's like, PL. I think PL fielded like Marachas, and then I think Hydra had Natana or something, and it's just like, and absolutely like both teams are probably just like shit. Well, one of us is going to lose a lot of money in this match, and losing a game of Natana, which we've done. We've lost Natana once in 2013. That's pretty terrible, and we didn't even come top 3. So we just like threw away, 200 bill in the match. It was gone. You know,
Yeah.
so
You know what? Just someone on Reddit. Today I just skipped over Reddit, and someone asked for the most expensive losses, and a lot of those are actually alliance tournaments. And shout out to Tiana, who actually had, I think, the 5th highest ISK loss ever in the game, according to Zeke, which was a Rebizo in alliance team.
Rabisi's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we've got, obviously my team owns a bunch of alliance tournament ships, and quite frankly, they are pretty much useless now.
Oh, really?
Like,
what's that?
well, like
Too expensive?
why?
Because
Why? No, but why would you use them? In any case, there's no alliance tournament. When we get okay, do you want to do a
yes,
Rabisi
okay.
fleet?
Yeah, it's not a good
You know,
investment anymore.
yeah, it's like there's people have malices. What are you gonna use a malice for in a TQ? Like you're gonna go and
Yeah.
newt something and just sit there and that's it. It's not
Yeah.
gonna. They're not really like designed, unfortunately. And I do agree with this for CTP. They're not designed for TQ. They're like sort of they were they were and they weren't. They were mainly designed to like benefit alliance tournament play.
Yeah. So what would you think if they would have said like, okay, instead of like how many blueprints did they hand out? Usually I think it was
50 per ship.
50. That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So
It goes quickly. There's not. I tell you what. There's not many Etanas left. It's probably
yeah,
about.
Eternas. I mean, there's a couple of those ships that are really
There's
good in
8.
alliance
There's
tournaments.
8. There's 8 or 9 left.
Yeah, and then Etanas, Rabisus, obviously they're super strong because you have that one key Logi ship and their Logis, right? So they're just so
pretty much.
strong in that very important role. But then there's other alliance tournament ships that aren't that popular anyway. That you can probably get cheap. Right?
Frecky's a awful. U2 are terrible.
Yeah. We killed actually an Utu from PL once.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, they're terrible. A lot of them are. I know someone that owns a Guardian Vexor. I don't know if you've even heard of it.
Yeah, like I know
right?
someone too. Like he won it on Soma Blink of all places.
Yeah, I mean, he showed me it, and I think he quit the game or something. And yeah, it's like it's terrible. Do you know what I mean? Like the bonuses are still the same bonuses from 2007. So like for people that don't know, the Guardian Vexor can field 10 drones.
Yeah, it's basically a Navy Vexor with 10 drones. And
No, it's worse than a Navy Vexor.
It's worse than.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's only like 2 or so in the game, so.
There's only a few. Yeah.
Yeah.
You asking for buff Starfleet?
I'd love the Guardian Vexor to be buffed. That'd be really good. Do you know if the Guardian Vexor had the same stats as a Vex Navy issue, it'd do 1,400 DPS from a cruiser.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it should have. No, I think that they should. Obviously, it's too late to like change any AT ship stats, and they're going to be in the game, and there'll be collectible items for as long as the AT doesn't exist. Their purpose will be gone to a certain degree, especially the Etanas and Rabisis.
But what I wanted to ask actually, like, what if they would cut that down and say, okay, the first place you get 5 cruisers, the second place you get 5 frigates, and the third place you get like, I don't know, maybe one.
A pat on the back, or
well
done.
You can come up with something, Maybe you can say the first place gets 5 cruisers, 2 frigates, or like something like mix it up, but numbers are way lower, right? So they don't have like a massive impact necessarily, but at the same time the price would then go up and you would have a massive impact.
I'll say I sold Rabisu. I don't care saying a long time ago when we first won. I sold one to Entity. He's a collector dude. I think I sold it. Was it to NC? Anyway, I don't know who I sold it to, but it was for 300. I sold it for 360 bill.
360.
Yeah, and there's no way. And you look at the forums now; they're all 160, and they're going down and down and down.
That is
because you can't. What are you gonna use them for? Like, there's no. There's no AT or anything. So like, but the last time I spoke to CCP at an event, they said that they don't like the Alliance Tournament ship prize idea. I think that's going to be, if there is an AT, that won't be a thing anymore. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell how much impact they had in general, but yeah, the price tag was just a little bit much, right? To make.
Well,
very rich people even richer in the game.
It's
It was
true, but like it's one of the reasons why like my team, we've won once and came third, but like it is one of the reasons why we put so much effort into it. It's because
I know,
the
yeah.
payout is so like worth it. It's so worth the time to put in to
Yeah,
win.
And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I never participated, I think, because I always knew, like, if you want to get far, you have to put in effort. Like,
You do,
not
yeah.
just some effort. Like, you would have to do, like, every day, almost, like, leading up to it, it comes close to every day, like, training sessions.
Yeah,
and all that
definitely.
stuff.
I mean, we do, like, especially in the last tournament we trained with Tuskers 4 times a week. And that was like, and then towards the end, it was nearly every day. And even on the off days, we'd just be doing theory crafting and just thinking about, setups. And
Shut up, Cable. He says, oh
Yeah.
no, you have to put in effort to win a competition. But yeah, I
Well,
mean, it's
Cable-
a legit thing, though. It's a legit argument, though, when I say, like, I wasn't willing to put that much effort into it. I wasn't hyped enough for the format to do this, right?
He
I'm just
got to give him a
honest
little
here.
clap because didn't he win? He came first today on the thing on the what is it? What's it called?
The arena stuff. The
Yeah, I don't know what it's
stuff?
called. Yeah, he's gonna get like this number one filament guy to
Number one filament guy. Nice.
number one. I don't know what it's called.
Number
I
one
know.
arena PvP. Yeah.
Number one abyssal PvP in EVE
No.
Online.
Sorry,
It's-
Miranda, your mic always cuts out when
Yeah.
there's another mic active, I think. I don't know what that is. It might be an issue with my mumble here. My Discord.
It's okay.
Sorry. I'm not sure if I
Solo-
can fix it.
Solo God Cable Eater. But yeah, Cable Eater's been on my advanced tournament team for a long time, and he will understand that we used to train a lot. And yeah, it is a lot of effort, especially for like the theory crafting team who like spend days, not days, like months. Especially I remember when the alliance tournament was definitely on. We'd start theory crafting before the rules came out.
Yeah,
That's what we used to do.
but people love theory crafting, though, right? It's not like
They do, yeah.
That's my jam, kind of. So that kind of effort, I'm willing to put in any time.
It's
But
just playing. You don't like playing the game?
No, that's not what I said. But the whole like training every day, like getting
yeah.
people organized every day for this and the like, it just the whole package is a little bit much. And I always decided, like, I always thought about it, and I was like, I don't know. I'd rather take my guys out for roams, right?
True.
I mean, that's another thing, right? If you feel like you're kind of responsible for your dudes to enjoy the game, not everyone is in the AT team, right? So if you're in Alliance FC or be it even a Corp FC, then you might just make that decision, say like, okay, my Corp or Alliance stuff goes first, and then you simply don't have the time, like the spare time to put.
No, I know, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of time. I was at uni when we like won. No, I wasn't at uni. I was in like college, like high school or something. So I had that unlimited time to play EVE Online. But like I think training is detrimental to success for a team. About how much you train.
Detrimental.
Yeah, it is. The more you train, the more you play as a group, the more you understand and get used to everybody flying, and the more everyone flies the same ships over and over and over again for months, the more they're going to get better, and the whole team will get better.
Yeah,
And that's
it
how
works
you
with everything.
win. Sorry?
But that's kind of how it works with everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like what we try and do in my team is I will have like definitely in years prior, you just have your hyena pilot, and that's it. That person will just fly the hyena for about 4 months. Usually it was TikTok, and that's all he'd do. And he'd just he'd be the best hyena pilot and just focus on doing that.
Yeah.
Fly only one ship.
Well, yeah, just to become the best pilot ever. We actually trained against Wolf's teams as well.
Yeah, they trained against my team. Yeah.
Oh, so you have like Alliance
GGs.
tournament history outside Volta?
I
mean, obviously outside. Or like
my alliance tournament history outside of Volta is 2 different teams. Both teams we never practiced, and we one time forgot to submit our flagship.
It sounds like our team.
How did that
No, it
go?
went well.
How did that go, Wolf?
Well,
Did it?
we did win some matches actually. I don't know how, but we did, and so we came out ISK positive just by entering and winning a couple matches because the skins we sold were worth it. So that was good. This year we're actually taking it seriously. Under this old alliance, we had the Weekend Warriors, and we've actually been practicing. And we did practice against Starfleet, but unfortunately, Starfleet isn't even the #1 Logi pilot on his team, so I don't know how many matches we actually got to play against him.
No, I have a Ryload, if people know who Ryload is. He's like kind of sort of becoming up and coming star in the team. He's taking over the Logi role. You know how it is. He's an up and coming. No, he's a really good pilot, and he's a good Logi pilot, and you know, apparently for some reason we don't lose any ships when he's lodging. So I just thought, okay, I'm hands off. He can logi all the matches. But we do like obviously lots, you know, logi frig, so we obviously logi frig together. But no, just to make sure everyone's aware, like Wolf is in my alliance, but for the purposes of this tournament, they had to like leave the alliance and join their other alliance to like
we had to put all our mains on this other alliance, but we're still in Volta.
To be eligible.
Volta.
Yeah, to be eligible for the team.
Our first match is against Goons, and then I think if we win that, it would be against Warlords.
If you win that, you win the war for PanFam. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that if Goon Swarm lose the AO, Goons completely capitulate.
Oh man, we're gonna get evicted after that then.
The Matani will just give up if they lose the AO.
We're gonna get evicted.
Oh, wait a second, guys. So if you're in Volta with your main, like, is it allowed to enter with another alliance? Yeah. Oh, okay. So they're not as strict then.
Oh no,
we moved our mains. No, we had to move our mains out of the alliance by October 31st and join this old alliance with our mains, and then we enter under that name.
We spoke about it as well.
Yeah, we did have to move our mains out and actually be in Weekend Warriors with our mains. So.
And Bay messaged me and was just like, "You're not gonna collude, are you?" I was like, "No, like." I think we've trained with you like once or twice, like literally in the last twice in the last, you know, I don't know how long, you know. But they wanted to make sure that we weren't like doing an A and a B team, and we're not. Just to confirm.
Nah, we always intended to do the AT. I think I took Starfleet by surprise by telling him, "Oh yeah, by the way."
Yeah, I literally was not seeing it coming. I was like,
in a few
weeks. I was like, really? You're gonna do an AT team?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. It's like you can do that.
Yeah. We're actually taking it. We are actually practicing and scrimming, and I'm not running it. It's another guy named Hansi Babes who did it, and he does more stuff like this than I do. So it's kind of his thing. But he's doing a good job and just keeping us practicing and keeping us going. I wouldn't say we're on Volta level, but you know.
I'll definitely plug it for them. It's next Saturday. 1 minute.
Yeah, when is the is it the first set of matches is Saturday?
It's next Saturday. Next Saturday we've got some big. I guess the big match to watch is us versus Vidra that day because it's the match with the only two big teams that face each other.
Init is fighting Saturday too, I think.
Who are you fighting?
I think Init is against. I forgot actually.
Everyone's fighting on Saturday. Everyone's playing on Saturday.
Okay, alright. So everyone has a match on Saturday. Okay.
Everyone's got a match on Saturday. You're playing. What's your team name? Oh, Initiative. You're playing against 420 MLG Twin Turbo 3000.
Baltram's alliance.
That's gonna be fun. I hope they're gonna beat them. Like, I can roll with it.
I'm hyped for this tournament. I am actually. Like, I just really want to like watch, you know, some matches, and also I love watching random teams because some of the, you know, the setups that they make are just brilliant. You know, it's really funny. There was one setup where a guy, they all anchored on him and he flew them all out of the arena by mistake, and half of his team went out the arena. So I'll have to find it for you guys.
Well, if you anchor in AT, that's kind of what you deserve.
Yeah, he anchored in AT and he flew out the arena, and like 3 of his teammates, like all in Serbs. Yeah, they flew out the arena. Yeah, I mean, imagine that. God.
I thought like, oh shit, like if Commander stores were allowed, right? You could just fucking just grab them.
Oh my god! Here we go.
That would be so.
If that was allowed, we were fighting against each other.
You're allowed. You just can't. Boosh.
No, you can't. I'm sorry. That would be such a.
I know. That would be like, beautiful. That's what you wanted to say, right?
You could just have like. stuff like Vin Diesel at 50 and just jump on top of them. Oh no, don't! I don't hear. I don't listen to that. Don't give them ideas. They might be listening.
Have you ever participated, Pando?
No,
18?
like I said, like I never participated. I was just like on the outside a little bit, like help them out and stuff.
That's so surprising to me, just because the stuff that you've come up with in the past. It just seems like it'd be kind of something you'd really enjoy.
Yeah, the theory craft, like I said earlier, right? Like the theory crafting part. I was like, I did sit down and made some setups, like what could work point wise and all that stuff. I always like that, just for fun, right? I didn't go overboard with it. And when I had like good setups, I would go to our guys and say like, hey, what about this? But they kind of do their own thing, right? So like I don't want to get too involved because then it would be weird too, right? So I always stayed away from it, let them have their own thing, and most of the time they just do it like for fun, right? They're not taking it as serious as you guys did, right? So we always had some guys that liked it, they liked the format, and then they trained a couple times. And they're like, all right, we understand the rules, let's go, right? Sometimes in some years they take it more serious, and in some years they take it less serious. I think this year they did a little bit more because I don't know, people just had like enough motivation, energy, and they trained a little bit more. So I'm curious how far they can go.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to our T team
I think
or AOT.
it's AO. Yeah, you gotta get it right. I think it's gonna be interesting and good fun for just have like a, because I like you said, I do miss sort of, we would have had like a tournament to watch, like, and people like it's an event that people can watch, and like it's I feel like I was actually thinking the other day, actually, this is a random thing that I was thinking about. When was the last time that CCP have done like an actual CCP fleet of Abaddons?
And CCP fleet with Abaddons?
Yeah, because I remember they used to do this like quite often back in 2012. They get the entire company, and they do like an Abaddon fleet, like, and they'd have like those really
fleet with Bjorn not too long ago.
No. I'm talking like they did like everybody in the office. It'd be like 50 CCP employees with like, and they'd have 2016. Maybe I'm right. Yeah, Cable's right. And they should do that again. And they'd have those implants that are like really strong in. So like they'd be like really heavily tanked battleships. They should do like more like stuff like that, because it sort of creates content that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, they did the dev fleet with Bjorn, but I think there was 25 people because they were filamented. I'm not entirely sure. And they did the Zeppy boys, and the day after the Zeppy boys got a buff.
Yeah. I was just watching a video of like CCP against PL, and it's like, you got like, Soundwave is there and Starscream, and I think Dolan was in. If you remember Dolan, CCP Dolan, he was there.
What was his name? Michael Bolton the Third.
Malcolm Bolton the Third. That's his name. But like, I just miss those sort of like events that they used to do, where they used to do like battleship fleets, and they'd,
what was that fleet that came through Pureblind the other day?
Yeah, but that was like 5 devs and some ISD. It's not like
they ran away, like cowards.
They did run away. Yeah, that was actually, Panda, I'd tell you about this. That was actually a really interesting fight that could have happened, but kind of did, but didn't. At one point, there was 5 fleets on the same grid in battle cruisers, and no one was on anyone's team.
Yeah.
But did everyone know? Sometimes that's the problem.
I think
right? Fleet number 5 warps onto the grid, and they're like, shit. They bad phoned everyone, warp off, right? And like everyone else is like, what? What just happened?
Yeah, it was like the ISD fleet was rolling through, and we ended up forming battle cruisers, and everybody else did, yeah. And Trigger Happy had a fleet, a Drake Navy fleet with TP with toilet paper, and they chased them. Banderlog saw this, took a Ferox fleet. We saw it, took our fleet, and then as we jumped in, we primarily like one thing, and everyone
left.
Everyone just thought like, oh, all these other fleets must be on the same side. Let's all get off grid. And they all had the same thought at the same time, and every fleet worked.
It's just unlucky then, right?
And we downshipped as well to Hurricanes, because we run Hurricane fleet issues to like make it more approachable, right? And we thought this would be good, and this would be a great fight. And yeah, we jump in, we shoot one ship, and literally every fleet warps off.
eventually everybody kind of trickled back, like kind of like had a breath, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe we can go back and fight.
Yeah.
And we kind of
There
fought
there
these
was a
fleets one by
dark side
one.
fleet as well, Gilas.
I mean, so sometimes people don't like, they have to read the situation first, and you read it wrong, and you think like you're completely on them, and then it turns out like actually, you can take
Yeah.
like it happens. It happens like
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
funny to watch 4 different fleets all warp off.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
funny.
Oh fuck, we're getting blocked, get out.
It was good. I've never. It's been a long time since I've seen like 4 or 5 fleets in the same system and no one's on anyone's team. Like everyone's completely
I'm
not
not sure if I've
fighting.
ever seen it 4 or 5.
It's very
fleets.
rare. Like
Mm.
it was a very odd day, wasn't it, Wolf?
Usually
a
what
weird
happens right away is like someone's convoying the other guy because he
Someone,
knows him.
yeah,
Boom,
yeah,
there's a deal in
yeah.
place, and then suddenly there's
Let's
2
team up with-
fleets. Yeah, that work
Let's
together.
kill Banderlogs.
Yeah.
I think we actually kind
Typically.
of. I can say this. We kind of did
Well,
that with Darkseid, and then we kind of just. I don't know. We just
did
sort of.
we? Because the dark side was like
I
we
know.
were-
I kind of told them to
There
like
was this-
let's. Yeah.
There was a situation where Darkseid and us were the only 2 fleets left on grid, so we warped on to Darkseid as they bounced to attack the cold. It was really good timing for us, and we warped them. We were just killing Gilas. We were like trading. They were killing some Hurricane fleet issues, and then the Bannerlord fleet warped in. I don't feel like Darkseid did like stop shooting us.
I
'Cause
think we killed too
I
many
think they
Gilas.
just kept shooting us. I don't think we had a deal. If we did, they definitely didn't care.
I said let's sort of kill the Bander fleet, but I think we just
Did
got
you?
carried away killing. But yeah, I think that I forgot that conversation was there, and then by that point we killed 10 Gilas, and then it was just kind of like, well, we kind of killed a third of their fleet, and then yeah, well,
Whatever.
dealings didn't really work. Hello, I was gonna say.
Well, it
But
was
yeah,
like after we killed Gilas that the Bannerlord fleet warped in, so it's too late. Like, there's no deal to be had at that
no,
point. But
we did do that. Who did we do that to? Well, we actually like pretended to fight. Do you remember?
not anybody that day.
No, not that day. A different day. We actually pretended to fight, and they sacrificed one of their ships to make it look like we were killing them. And then that actually prompted one of the fleets to warp in to like kill us, and then we just turned on them straight away.
I don't remember.
Maybe
Might
it
not
was
have been
Bandlogs. I can't remember what it was. I don't know who it was. But I told the guy. It was Bandlogs. Yeah, someone said it was Bandlogs in fleet, and they like the guys. I think it was Darkseid again, and they said they like did a random number or something to kill one of their own ships or something to make it look like
They
we were
won
fighting.
the lottery.
Like there's in like some poor guy in fleet did the wrong, got the wrong. It's like the sacrificial person to die to make it look like we were fighting. XIX. It was with XIX. Sorry, it wasn't with.
Yeah,
It wasn't with It wasn't Darkseid. XIX were here. They had like for some reason they had a fleet up here, and then Banders actually warped back in, and then we immediately just switched into Bandlogs. Yeah.
Guys, I don't want to cut you off, but
Go for it.
there's a couple of things, like I had actually questions wrote down, like I always write some down. And one thing that I really wanted to bring up is the ESS thing, because I'm pretty sure you guys are probably looking at that too. And so since we're already over half an hour, 1.5 hours, you guys got some thoughts on that? Like, do you care? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad?
Well, we're crabs now, so we gotta defend our risk.
Well, you gladly will do, right?
My understanding isn't. I don't have that. We've looked at it a little bit, and it seems like you can't. It's gated, right? And then you're in a bubble where you can't microwave drive. So that sounds to me like phantasms and nightmares are kind of gonna be the way to defend it.
Yeah.
Things that get afterburner bonuses of some kind, something like that.
Yeah, or 100 MN fits in general.
Yeah.
Right? Slippery stuff.
Yep. So I don't know. I had this experience with Blackout. I don't know, maybe I think other Volta members have a different perspective, but going back to stuff like Blackout, stuff that swings really, really hard in favor of making it really tedious or difficult to do something for people in nullsec to get ISK, often results in them just not doing it because there's still other ways in the game to actually make more ISK. And so even though this used to be effortless, now it's potentially a lot more effortful. And so I think that might have the kind of the side effect, good or bad for the overall health of the game, that people are going to stop being out in space as much as they were right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much aligned with what I said on Talking to Stations, yesterday, 2 days ago? when like Bjornby was on that too, and we were talking about it. Bjornby is super hyped about it. He made a co-op to like start like small gang stuff, and I think solo, maybe up to 5 people, they will get fights out of these. But as soon as you go over 5, I think it's going to be tough to get a fight, because most people are going to be like, risk of getting just memed in the plagues because you're getting scrimmed when you whoop in, is the chance is just so high. But yeah, it's exactly what I said actually. Nightmares, right? It's probably the way to go the way to go.
I don't know. I think it's kind of, yeah. I'm not really that hyped about it, to be honest. I think it's, it scrams all ships, and like we said, like Phantoms and Nightmares are going to be a thing. Like, I haven't really looked into it too deeply, so I don't actually know. Like, obviously, like it comes, you can steal it at a certain time, and it'll have X amount of money in it, right? Or is it like?
Yeah. So, I don't know if I understand it 100%, to be quite honest.
I think
so. You have like, let's say you get 100 mil, right? Then 50 mil of that goes into the main bank, and then a couple mil goes into reserve bank.
Yeah.
The reserve bank, to empty that, you need a key, right? So you need to come in with that key. I'm not sure if it's an investment, that key, or if it's like super cheap. I don't know. But the main bank empties every 3 hours, right? So the maximum that can be in the main bank is always whatever the value is they rented, or half the value of what they rented in the last 3 hours. That's the maximum, right? But usually, like, you have to hit the timing to get that full value.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know how much value is going to be in those at any given time for you to steal. I'm guessing it's going to be the 200, 300 mil mark, which is nice, which is better if you look at it from a very small scale perspective, right? So one guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, you can make money.
Like, I was gonna say, like, the other change they made of like now, like, the more you rat in the system, the less sites spawn, right? And that's, I don't know if that's happened yet, or it's gonna happen, right?
The dynamic bounties is what you're talking about.
Yeah, that thing. That's gonna have
two changes happen. Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, yeah, like if those 2 things happen, it's just gonna be even worse, because like the site, like, I think this would be really worth it if like it kind of like if a system has like so many rat kills, then it's gonna prompt people to go there, because the ESS is gonna be like just a piggy bank of like billions of ISK, right?
Yeah.
Like, but now it's gonna be like, with the other change, the other change is promoting ratters to spread out, right? I think we'd agree.
It both promotes ratters to spread out.
Yeah, but the ESS now, like, it spreads like the money out, so that the money in ESS is even less.
Yeah, I agree.
Across all the systems, so it's like it's not even. Yeah. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Kill the ratting ship. You get more money than the ESS.
So, I think Bjorn B had a legit point. So Bjorn said, it's not always about the money, right? Sometimes it's about sending a message. So you warp in. That dude, he probably doesn't matter how much money that is. Sometimes you warp in, you start stealing his shit. He's just like, it might be 1 mil, might be 2 mil, might be 100 mil. Doesn't even make a difference to some people, right? So they might just warp in there anyway. That's if it feels engageable, right? So if it's like 1, 2 guys, like, they might just do that and grab like one buddy. But that's the thing where I think like bigger fleets of bigger gangs will have trouble finding fights with these, because everyone is going to be a little bit more spread out. The defenders will have a more of a hard time finding their buddies quickly to defend, right? Because their buddies are spread out everywhere, right? They might be like 5 constellations away, and they're like, no, I don't feel like forming up for this right now. My ticks are great. See ya, right? So
yeah, I think that this also incentivizes like smaller groups. If you look at us, or even just say Banderlugs or something, this is a harder change for a smaller group with fewer time zone coverage, I think, for us to deal with, in the sense that we don't really want to have to group up to do all this all the time, probably. And I'm guessing Bannerlugs don't want to do it either. Like, small groups are going to have a harder time, I think, compared to a
So wait a second.
I don't know.
Just so I know, you have to go around and collect your own money.
No,
everyone.
No,
like,
it's defend it is what you're talking about, right?
He's got to defend it. So like,
Yeah, so every 3 hours it's gonna pay out.
oh,
So
God,
if
get
you
more things to defend.
like, I mean, yes. So I like it overall, right? I'm gonna say that straight up. I like it. I think an ESS rework has been overdue for a long time, right? I mean, I feel like there's more potential there, and like some things are not 100% on point. Like the scrim, it is weird to me that you warp in and you're scrimmed. You can't MJD, you can't scrim. That asks for like doctrines designed to meme people, like to just get in, get at range, wait for them to warp in, blob them, right? You can't cloak, you can't do anything really, right? You know, it's a little bit whatever.
Can I address
Yeah.
my thoughts on this? So I talked about it before. Okay, so this isn't necessarily like my viewpoint, but it's a viewpoint that I understand that other people have that are angry about this change. About like what Norman's saying about some people just want to rat and chill. It's like I said a few episodes ago where it's like, you know, people who PvP in Eve think that the way that you play Eve is PvP, but that's not, you know, necessarily the way that everybody wants to play Eve. And the great thing about Eve is that there are so many different approaches that you can have to playing the game, whether you want to do like industry and market training, or you want to rat, or you want to mine. This, you know, I mean, ultimately, it's all up to the way that CCP wants to steer their game. So if they want to steer the game towards, you know, PvP, then the people who want to just sit and chill after work, you know, for a few hours and rat and not have to worry about stuff are going to be punished for that. Eventually, maybe they'll steer it so far to PvP that it turns into the game that everyone talks about, where it's like, you know, don't undock unless you don't want to fight someone. But the reality is that's just how some people want to play the game. And so
Yeah.
they're away from that, which is going to piss some people off. And it's not about people like what Cable said, saying like, oh no, you have to put effort into making ISK other than just grinding red crosses. That's not really like what they're complaining about. Like the effort that you have to put in to make a significant amount of money in Eve is not just grinding red crosses. It's more than that. It's about, yeah.
Yeah, I get that point, and I also brought that up on the Talking Stations episode, because yeah, like we want people to be in space ultimately, right? We are the guys that say like, hey, everyone should PvP all day, and I truly believe.
To hunt.
Say that again.
If there's no ratters, then there's
Exactly.
no one to.
Exactly. That's where I was going with this, because like we want PvP like all the time, and we want to hunt people that might not want to PvP us in that moment, right? But if it's too far towards the PvP side, if it's too, like, if it's not worth it doing the PvE part, then you won't see these guys, right? You saw that in Blackout. I know some people still to this day, yeah.
With the rock nerfs.
Or the rocker nerfs, yeah. You have less rockers in space and stuff.
Yeah.
In space now.
Huh?
There's like no Rorquals in space now.
Well, every now and then you find some. In low sec, you know, Snuff, I've got eyes on you. I'm just saying. Right? But some people put out rockers still.
Yeah,
but yeah. You need to have that balance where it's still worth for them to undock. And I feel like if you go too far with it, like people just want to, like, how many times have we talked about, like, yeah, the game, like, people like are getting old and stuff. They don't have the time to be just hardcore. Sometimes they want to log in, grind some things, and have a decent time. And yeah, they will die every now and then, but they can deal with it. But if it's like skewed too much towards the other aspect, they might just stop doing it. And that's probably not good overall, right?
Yeah, and that's what I kind of was talking about at first, was just I don't want it to be such a tedious thing that there's nobody for me to go kill. I'm all about getting good fights. That's all I really care about, if I'm being honest. And so if this mechanic results in me in a fleet setting or even small gang getting more good fights, and it's not so tedious for people who are grabbing or ratting to actually, be able to defend it, and then I can still force some fights, then I'd maybe be for it. Maybe I still am. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
don't know that much about how it's going to work. So I think it comes
So-
down to that, is the balancing of that.
So I don't think it's gonna be. I think they hit the balance quite okay. Honestly, I kept thinking about it, ran the math a little bit. If you think about it, at any given time in a system, people are going to be a little bit more spread out. You're not going to have 5 supers ratting in the same system. I mean, maybe as a bait, but in general, they're not going to boost that bank up to like an insane amount, right? So yeah, it's going to be, I would guess, 100 mil per hour with like 1 or 2 redders, right? Kind of around that area. So then, let's say on average, you will show up 1.5 hours into the cycle, right? It's the middle of the cycle because the cycle is 3 hours. So it would be 300 mil total, but only half of it is in the bank. So you can steal 150 mil, and then it's like, it's not the end of the world for the redders to every now and then lose up to 150 mil, right? It's probably going to be around the 100 mil mark, I'm guessing, that you will find in those ESS. And so you could make that argument, okay, there's not enough incentive then for them to show up. But if you look back at the current ESS, it's a step forward, definitely, right? Because nobody uses them in the first place. And if they use them, there's not a whole lot of ISK in there either. So I think it's a good change overall. If it's not perfect, it will never be, I think.
I just think rolling this out with the bounty changes at the same time is I mean, it's just a lot at one time for people who want to focus on ratting. Unless, of course, like what Don was saying before, with them actually buffing bounties to kind of compensate for the change with the dynamic system.
Which they actually did say, right? So at first people...
I didn't just say it, I just heard Don say it.
Yeah, they said, so on average, because it's a dynamic system, right? On average, 70% of the systems will kind of start out where they are right now. And then some will start out with more like potential gain or whatever. And then some, like a few will have less. And then it goes from there. So overall, people can make better ISK to a degree, but it's not a crazy one.
If they took advantage of the actual dynamic bounty, if they bounce system to system, they could, right? That's the idea. If they moved between systems like that and actually took advantage of the multiplier, then they potentially could make more.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I guess my question too is like, so the way I understood it is that it has like the stasis of it being at 0. So if it becomes active and then no one rats or does anything in that system again, is it going to stay as like an active system, or is it going to slowly like tick back to stasis? So if you rat out a system and it goes down to the negative, if you just leave it alone, does it go back to normal, or do you have to like go force PvP in there to bring it back up to normal? I think that'll have a big effect in it too, because like you said, Dragoon, if it balances itself out like that, then yeah, you can take advantage of it and you just go rat out a system until it goes down and then hop to another system and rat it out until it goes down. And you can just cycle that way if it fixes itself. But if it doesn't fix itself, then I can see with, blocks where people are ratting constantly, you're like all your systems are just going to be ratted out, and then people are just going to start forcing like fraudulent PvP fights so that they can get their dynamic bounty back up to go rat some more.
Yeah, people start doing alliance tournaments in their alliance, in their ratting pockets, right?
Yeah, has that been addressed actually? I'm actually really curious about that, because that was the first thing I thought of when I saw that system of PvP.
Everyone thought that.
Adding to your multiplier. Yeah, exactly. Of course, everyone.
That's the first thing.
Have they addressed that?
So it is ISK value based, I'm pretty sure. Like I think they said that, right? That was the first question. Is it ships? Like amount of ships killed? Like am I going to blow up 500?
It would be.
So yeah.
More of Corvettes.
That's what I mean.
Right.
You're gonna see people, blowing up
Corvettes
1,000 frigates. Yeah.
Loads of noob ships, like thousands dying, genocide.
Okay. No, you
Noob ship genocide.
Genocide
Alright.
happening across New Eden
Well,
to get
value
the
based
aliens.
makes sense. I guess you can make a lot of ISK for yourself blue scouting a friendly super then in this case. You can increase your
Yeah.
multiplier, get a friendly super killed, and then go back to crabbing. Anyways, yeah, I think I do actually agree though. Rolling both changes out at the same time. I would be a fan of rolling one or the other out, trying it out, see how it goes. If it's too much, tweak that, and then do the next
Yeah.
phase. I'm hopeful that they would do it in phases like that.
That was actually a
It's
good
like
point.
Yeah, it's like having that, like, you need that standard. How are we supposed to tell if the ESS system is an issue or if it's the dynamic bounty system if we roll them both out at the same time and something goes wrong?
I say tweak it, but then I guess CCP's record on tweaking stuff isn't really that
Isn't the
timely. So
best.
maybe if they actually like keep an eye and tweak it quickly, I'd be up for it. I still
Hey.
am probably, but
So I think their changes in the last year were all right. Beside maybe the resisting, I'm not sure.
that kills us.
Yeah, I know for you guys it kind of sucks, right? I'm not sure if I understand it completely, but like if you take that change on, like I was a fan of most of the changes they did. Like I really did. So they have a good track record in my book at least recently.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're getting this right and they thought this through. And some number, I feel like the numbers kind of seem to be working out. So I hope we get a lot of small scale solo traffic. And then you know how it is. You know how it is. There's that one guy in a rattlesnake trying to solo, right? Just being a cool kid. Boom, he gets a fight. But then suddenly some other dudes show up because that ESS had a good value or whatever, right? And then suddenly the fight that the rattlesnake got, then suddenly escalates into some more. You know how it goes, right? We need those fight starters. And I kept saying that also when it comes to station games, which is another thing I talked about too. Station games were a legit content creating mechanic, right? People like fuck around on that station, and then that one guy has to poke his nose out, seeing what's outside. Have you seen my toy ship? Like, have you seen my Nagelfahren? How awesome I am, right? And then suddenly he bums because there's a second guy. We had that a couple of times actually, right? Two dreads undocked to look outside, and then one of them gets bumped out of dock range. Like, it's a legit fight starter. We lost that with Citadels. I still campaign for getting that back, but whatever. But that might be, not entirely, but might be one way to get these little fight starting engagements back to a degree. We will see.
I think so. I think you're gonna see a lot of stuff going on in drones.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do?
I bet you'll see a ton of small
Owasa's gonna be the place to be.
They're gonna be busy.
They're gonna be busy.
I tell you what, anyone who looks at Oasa, those guys, they have always been super organized. Like they are gonna be good at this. I'm telling you, don't underestimate them. They're really
but
good.
I bet you'll see
China.
You're gonna see people, especially small game people who are often in drones, are gonna be around there. They're gonna have alts and they're gonna log in every 3 hours or whatever it is, and they're gonna bring people around. They're gonna time it. They're gonna try to farm it. They're gonna try to use that as their way to make ISK and fund themselves and have PvP basically.
Yeah, we'll see. Like some people will be crafty with this and try to exploit it. But yeah, we'll see. So what I'm gonna do is definitely take out some old school solo domies and stuff. Just have a look. All right, let's see what fights we get.
Where at?
Yeah.
Where do you think you'll be?
Well, I'm just gonna filament and then.
All right.
And then look whose space it is. I think
maybe we'll see you in Volta space.
Maybe
see you in Faded Deck.
You know what? If I end up in Volta space, you're gonna see a ping right after, like, "Hey, everyone, be ready to quick form." I'm just gonna get 100 kickies in the moment, just in case.
Just in case.
So, like, good fights or get blocked by kickies. All right.
Good fight. Okay, I'll bring a good fight. Right,
of course, we'll bring the Hurricane Fleet issues.
We'll bring the Hurricane Fleet issues.
Just 20
Asian fights for your dummy, all right?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do that. That'll be fun.
All right. Then I would say let's leave it at that. And guys, thanks again for showing up. That was good fun. And
Thank you.
I hope everyone watching, listening in enjoyed it. And yeah, see you guys on the next one, I would say.
So, yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so
You want
much.
to play Starfleet's video?
Guys,
Yeah.
it will take me probably like 1 minute or so to figure it out. I don't want to, like, you know, if you share a screen on stream, it's always a little bit like you have to be a little bit careful, you know. So give me 1 minute.
Wow.
I'll figure it out.
Wow.
And I'll play.
What are you doing after the show?
You never know.
That's the biggest question.
Like I don't want to mess it
Hando
up.
is just like, all right, okay, we had enough of this show. Let's go.
Especially-
Let's get to
All right. All right, I tried to hide it.
That happened to CCP, wasn't there? Was a definite. I remember there was a screenshot of some CCP dev who posted a screenshot of something, and there's a URL they did not mean to be
Is
up
there?
there. It was in plain view. Yeah, it happened
That's
years
true,
ago.
that's so
I
funny.
really
Mistakes
I remember
happen.
it.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to be that guy, you know.
Exactly.
So give me a second. I'll figure it out though. All right, see you guys around.
See ya.
Check the bridge. Everyone read the sheet and see log and log and Starfleet. Check the bridge.
Everyone line down. Line down. They're gonna
Get it up, yeah, we may as well.
Yeah. Line down. Hold this on. Stop. Everyone line down. Line down to them. Inhib is going to be the primary target of this. We're going to kill that instantly. Okay. All the caps and raw get ready. We're going to go in as soon as it's down. Okay, all the caps. Play this wall. Shoot this inhib. Everyone sit still and shoot the inhib. Shoot inhib right now. All drones on dock. Shoot the Abaddon. Anchor Starfleet, links up. Except the Sun and Fleet. Pack Roberto. All drones run for Roberto. All drones run for Roberto. Pull targets and dreads. A second Abaddon, top of 4 plus his primary. Jumbo next.
Keep them bubbled. Keep everything bubbled.
Keep an SK.
Kill me. Tell me if dreads are coming in from them.
Nothing right now.
Left. Yeah. Okay. Let's look like speed. Let's kill evidence. So let's kill evidence.
And now for something completely different.
Serious?
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Bruh.
But I'm not done yet.
Bye, dude. Hello there.
Enemy spotted.
He's fine, you know. Finish him, come on, finish him. Everyone heat as a saver. He's dead,
Okay, well,